Hello, everybody. We're having some technical
Hey, how you
difficulties
doing?
this morning. So, hey, Charles, how are you?
All right, so I can't hear you. Let me see if I can fix that.
Can you guys hear
Probably because I don't have
me?
my AirPods in.
Probably have.
Yep, that's what the problem is. Because I'm an idiot.
It's all right. So,
Let's
here we
go.
go. JP is on now.
All right,
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I can hear everybody.
Perfect. So we got a few people on. Sorry for the few minutes delay. We are actually having some technical difficulties. You know how it is with these live sessions. Just appreciate your time, guys. We're just gonna hang in here for a minute or two.
A minute? I don't have
A minute. You just woke up, right? Good morning.
Yeah.
Appreciate that you jump in on a little bit early on your side. What time is it now?
It's 10 a.m. sharp.
There we go. I like the LED lights now. What's that? Yeah, that's cool. The background.
Yeah, it's not done. It's a work in progress. I have a couple other shells and some other lights and trying to get
Beautiful.
fancy.
Awesome. I like that. All right. So I'm gonna wait a little bit till we get and then we introduce. We'll go with a quick introduction for whoever doesn't know you guys. I know you guys are legends and everybody knows you on Facebook, but I know, some people still live under the rock, maybe. All right, Charles, can you tell us a little bit? I mean, thank you for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about you and what you do? And
Yeah, thanks for having me in.
Yeah.
So I have specialized in enterprise SEO for the past maybe 10 years, give or take. As of the last few months, though, I am out on my own now. I have my own business. I have a few folks trying to hire me, but I don't think I want to go back. I think I've had enough fun with corporate SEO, and I think I don't want to do that anymore. So,
Wow.
So yeah, I've been. I know you guys obviously know I'm speaking next week at the conference. We talk about migrations. I've kind of been focusing in on migrations, helping clients figure out, okay, here's how you migrate your site without crushing your traffic.
Nice. That's an interesting topic. Can you tell us a little bit about your talk? Just you don't have to do
Yeah. So most times what folks will do is they listen to Google, which we all know is not a good thing to do. Google will say, oh yeah, it's real simple. Just 301 redirect everything over and go into Search Console and do the change of address. And then, you'll lose a bunch of traffic, but everything will be okay. That is the absolute worst advice you could possibly ever take for doing a migration. That will crush your traffic, guaranteed. I'll give everybody one little tip. Don't ever use the change of address in the Search Console. The reason why you want to use that is because it takes away your access to the old domain. And anytime you try to access the old profile, it redirects you over to the new profile. So you have no way of knowing what's still sitting out in the index and what Google's still trying to crawl in the old domain or old structure. So
interesting. Looking forward for it. Welcome, Clint. Here we go. The man is here. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm great, man. Appreciate you taking the time and joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation.
I haven't been side by side with Clint in probably 4 or 5 years.
At least.
Probably,
SEO spring training, yeah.
There you go. You could high five right there. I could see it. There's a high five right there. A virtual high five.
It's like the Brady Bunch of SEOs.
Brian, how are you this morning? Oh, we can't hear you, Brian. Sorry, Brian.
How about now? Better?
He's going for the black hat and black hoodie like me.
I know, right? No, it's unlike the last webinar you and I did, Robbie. I'm not looking like I'm in witness protection anymore. So open up some windows. We're all good.
I see the beard is coming out. Huh? Yeah. You're giving your barber a break now. All right, so let's continue. Charles, just do the quick introduction. We're just going to do a quick introduction for each one of us, and then we'll jump ahead on talking about some latest news and SEO news out there. We'll talk. So, Brian, go ahead. Can you give us
Yeah.
a quick introduction?
Yeah, so my name is Brian. I like to do SEO and play around online. That's pretty much me in a nutshell. No,
Awesome.
yeah, it's just I enjoy. I'm really honored to be a part of the this panel here and in kind of this discussion. I mean, JP, Clint, Charles, you guys. I mean, Robbie, you guys legends. So yeah, it's good. I'm good. I'm glad to be here, and yeah, all good.
It's our pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. JP.
Yeah, Jordan, been in the business since probably around 2008. Started in local SEO. Lately, I've been getting back into some web dev and using AI. So at the next conference, I'm going to be talking about how to use AI to build your own scripts, automation, web applications if you have zero web development experience. So
Interesting. Thank you for joining us, JP. Clint.
Hi, Clint Butler. I own my own agency. I've been doing SEO since 2009 while I was also in the Army. Started in affiliate, adult gambling, that kind of stuff, and then moved to the white side of local, where you guys are so much easier. Not really, but since then, just got a couple courses, been speaking at conferences and stuff. Took a break all since July for family matters, but I'm back.
I hope everything is good, and you guys. I know family comes first, and I know you guys. Tough times sometimes, but just want prayers and thoughts with you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. And Clint, every time, you guys, I'm sure 99% of the people know who Clint are, but every time I tune to Clint, I learn something new. So it's not like he doesn't, he's full of knowledge. I never met him in person. I'm looking forward one day to meet him in person, but he's always, get great thoughts, or I learn something from him every time I hear him speak. So thank you again for joining us. So we got Layor. He said, so much respect on one screen. This is awesome. Thank you, Layor, for joining us. Corey, Unreal Lineup. Awesome. Hello from Brazil. Legend. Thank you. And we got Golfa Tamar. He said, hey, guys, what's up? Paul, thank you for joining us. Randy, thank you for joining us today. And okay, so today we don't have any a schedule, guys. I do have a few notes that few SEO news out there that we could talk about, and we're going to talk about a future event. Is there anything would you guys especially start with, or would you like me to get those news on the screen and discuss them?
I'd like to hear Jordan's thoughts on the JavaScript changes that Google's making and how that's affecting tools. He's the programmer out of it.
Yeah, there's some changes with Google. What do you think about that, JP?
I mean, all the tools that I use for API providers, they're all up to speed. I mean, there's a couple that are there's a little lag. Sometimes they don't go through, but I mean, as far as a lot of them are kind of going headless now, but I mean, all my scrapers, I use a company called Traject Data. They own like 10 different brands, everything from Value SERP, Scale SERP. I use them for most of my like SEO related tools, and then I use another service called Scraper API for most of my scraping. They're all up. I mean, they were intermittent for a while, but everything's working fine.
I have a real quick question for you here, JP, on that. So one of the things that, that I was looking at was being that they're forcing JavaScript. What kind of implications does that have for more of a security standpoint, right? I know you and I have talked a little bit about cybersecurity in the past, but forcing JS where, I mean, you could potentially now make it easier to inject stuff, correct?
Yeah, and unless you're not sanitizing their JavaScript, I mean, it definitely leaves vulnerabilities for, things like cross-site scripting, DOM, injections and things like that. I mean, Google
reflected
for a while had a lot of vulnerabilities actually in their DOM where people were actually able to inject things directly into the URLs. I think it's an interesting way that they went that method because there is so many vulnerabilities with JavaScript, but I mean, if that's the way they're going, then that's
Cut
where
off
they're
your
going.
nose to spite your face, right?
Yeah,
One of those
exactly.
things.
So, I mean, as far as right now, I don't really see a lot of issues. Like, a lot of these API providers and tools kind of came back full circle. I don't really know a lot about Ahrefs. I don't really use that tool anymore, but like Majestic is still up. All these other API providers, and as far as I know, Ted pretty much has his backup. I think he still has a little bit of lag, but
Yeah, there's a lag in Core still. I know SEO Power Suite, they adapted pretty quickly, but a lot of the rank checkers are real slow.
yeah. We're just going to see a lot of the stuff probably running slower than usual. A lot of these, like scraper APIs, for example, they're using hundreds of thousands of proxies, and I definitely notice that there is a little bit of a lag. Not much, but I definitely notice it.
Yeah, and I want to jump on something that Clint shared last week, I guess, about the Ahref data. So, what did you find out, Clint, about this branding data?
Well, that really depends on who you ask, right? Because let's take Mike Merlino. He's been talking about branding for well over a year, at least. Branding, and how important it is for your maps and for your traffic generation.
Yes.
So you see that. And then on the flip side of it, I watch a lot of the white hats, and they're all now miraculously brand masters, and they know about branding, and they're the greatest at branding ever. So I wonder how much of this is marketing and how much is it actually real users. The problem is the people who follow me are actually all SEOs. So you get like Andrew Ainsley, who's I only do 95% of my stuff on generative AI, and that's how I get my questions answered. Andrew's smart. You'd be smart enough to know that the keyword there is generative, so it's making up a lot of answers. So and then we're a bunch of SEOs, and we're into this thing, and we're on our computers every day. But the average person is not necessarily doing the same. They don't have the same user behavior that Brian and JP and Charles have, right? So that's why I asked that question, just to get the impressions of my peers versus like what is real. Because I think, like all studies, you can look at data and skew it to make it say whatever you want it to say, and that's probably right along the lines of where I think that Ahrefs data is. I don't know. We don't get the 150 million keyword data set. That would be cool to see if we can pull the same numbers out of there. But one of the commenters made a point, like, define what a branded search is, right? Is it just searching for JP's name, or is it JP cybersecurity, JP JP maps? Do those all count as branded to you? And that definition is probably skewing those numbers a lot, I would imagine.
And the misspelling of brands, like I see that kind of stuff all the time, where there's all these variations to how you can spell a brand. I would also think there's probably an 80-20 thing going on here. So a large site, like any large enterprise site I've ever worked on, literally 90% of their search queries are brand. And we could double the organic non-branded traffic, and it would maybe move it to 88% of the searches are still brand, because there's just, the brands have such power. Like you look at a CNN or somebody like that, most of their searches are coming in via CNN, CNN.com, CNN News, and that's just like the real obvious brand stuff. Whereas, to your point, Clint, there's all these, someone will type in, CNN News Trump, because they want to hear what CNN has to say about Trump, or CNN News, and then a subject, because they want to hear what CNN has to say on something. So
it's also interesting to see kind of the history of brands. Like, at what point do people stop searching for what they do and just start searching for Starbucks, right? So like, hey, I need a coffee shop near me. At what point does it get to that where you're no longer searching for I need a coffee shop? They're like, okay, I want to go to Starbucks, right? So I think that's also important too when you kind of build your branding, is putting what you do part of your brand to associate that, I think eventually you'll start to see it trickle in. Like, hey, you know, that's why I tell, especially in local, if your name's ABC Company and you're a plumber, it's probably advantageous for you to put ABC Plumbing like as part of your business name to associate that with what your main topical association is with your niche. So I think that's also important as well.
I would also caution. Sorry to cut you off. I would
No,
also
go ahead.
caution that you know, everyone that I see on social media talking about branding, again, minus Mike Merlino. Mike is he just tells it straight for everybody, but for the most part, you listen to a conversation on social media about branding and suggestions to business owners to do branding, and you know, JP's Plumbing is not Google, or Fox News, CNN, or Amazon. So
Yeah.
don't take all those informations from all those big guys and say, JP, you got to do what they're doing. One, JP didn't get the money to pull it off. So there's a lot of combinations in this branding. There's more to this branding story than what, you know, just go rank for your brand. That's not enough. It's not going to help.
Is it basically the signal that, you know, when you check, because, you know, people go to Google first, even though they know the website, they're going to search the name, the brand, let's say, and it's, you know, it's a small pop and shop here. That's what they go to Google first. And then when you see the signal on the results, the search terms, when you see their brand, usually the ones that they have their brand, the top search keyword is usually the ones that they're doing better, right? Is it because Google see a signal of a branding for a niche, right? Is that, you guys think that's the reason? I mean, in general, marketing, and you know, that's what you do the branding for it. You're trying to rank, you know, you brand yourself, and that's how Google reads it, maybe.
I think it's a little bit interesting that, you know, a lot of these topics they're foundational and very fundamental in nature, right? The idea of like, I know to kind of quote what Merlino says, you know, who you are, what you do, and where you do it, right?
True.
Those are all things that are kind of foundational to marketing, right? The journalist, you know, who, what, why, where, when, the foundational journalist type of questions that you would have. And I think that a lot of SEOs tend to operate in kind of our own little bubble where we're like, oh my God, like branding's a thing, or zero click, holy shit, it's a thing. Like that actually matters. And it's like, yeah, but at a foundational level, or even like with generative search, right? You still have to do SEO. You're still having to put your keywords on the page. You still have to do all this. Let's come up with some fancy, you know, AIO or, you know, EIEIO or whatever the hell we want to call it, right? At the end of the day, it's still SEO. It's still optimizing for however people are searching. It's fundamentally that doesn't change. And when it comes to branding, it's almost like, you know, I use the example of Jell-O or, you know, those kinds of things where if you're looking for a gelatin dessert, Jell-O's become the brand. It becomes synonymous with all of those keywords of like a gelatin dessert, you know, kind of this like, you know, jiggly, you know, like semi-solid kind of thing. And so whether you're looking at the brand Jell-O, whether you're looking at dollar store Jell-O, whether you're looking at some other weird offshoot, it becomes synonymous with that entity. And like at the end of the day, I think that that's where a lot of SEOs, like when we start to understand it in that context and framework, they're like, look, all you're trying to do is make who you are, what you do, and where you do it as big and badass as we possibly can be, right? Get people talking about who you are, right? About the name of your business. And when you can get it to the point like Jell-O, where if it's name brand or anyone else, you become the entity. Like I've heard people say I Googled it on Bing, right? Google's become synonymous with anything that we do searching online, right?
Yeah, true.
That's a good point, Brian, because like, you know, keywords and search is still a thing. I don't care how powerful your brand are. You still have to have keywords on the page. Just like you said, I've had so many conversations with people that think because their brand is huge, it's a, you know, Fortune 500 company, Fortune 200 company, they don't need keywords on the page. Good Lord, no, you still need keywords on the page. So brand isn't a replacement for search. It's, you know, I always kind of treat it like it's like a macro signal. There has to be some kind of signal you're sending to Google saying, I'm a real person, I'm a real business, I'm out here doing stuff. But it doesn't replace SEO best practices. It's just yet another best practice for your business.
True. Key state traffic is a signal, period. True. And what else we have here? Joe said, I like Jello. That's cool. All right. Is there anything else you guys want to add about branding? And just want to let everybody know who's watching. We're going to actually talk. We do have a special surprise at the end. It's about the next week event, and we're going to have a coupon, a good discount for tomorrow, for next week. And all of us here, we're going to be speaking in that event. And agency, Fast Track Agency on 2025. So we'll stick around. So we're going to pass out some coupon codes and save you some money for next week. Is there anything else you guys want to add about branding?
Yeah, I think just kind of the way things are moving forward to, even especially for local, is it's, NAP is no longer a thing. It's more that people are talking about you. You don't need to go out and get 1,000 citations in order for, to get ranking on maps. Now it's all about something that I call brand gossip. It's, if you look at the SERPs, there's actually a section in most local queries where they actually say there's a section that says forums and discussions. I mean, the SERPs give you a lot of clues of probably places that you should be focusing in. There's thousands of different forums for a plumbing industry. Those are probably places that you should be in. And if people are talking shit about your brand or they're talking good about your brand, they're still talking about you. So pay close attention to what the SERPs are showing you.
So JP, do you think negative versus positive mentions of your brand matters, or do you think any mention of your brand is good?
I think sentiment is one of the biggest things. That's why, especially for like Google business reviews, actually in Google's terms of service, they actually tell you like respond to reviews. Even though someone does have a bad experience, at least they are talking about it. But sentiment is definitely a thing, and sentiment, it's all graded upon ones and zeros. 1, you have a positive experience, or 0, you have a negative experience. So definitely, and it does make a difference if someone who's got 100 5-star reviews and they're having a really great experience, they're probably going to get rewarded. If all things are equal.
Nice, true. We got a question from Paul. What do you do about brands that are sold by different vendors, like DeWalt, for example? It's sold everywhere. Anyone?
Well, DeWalt would be the brand of the product. And for example, Home Depot or Lowe's would be the brand of the site or the local business. Whereas they're not so much a local business, but that's the business that's selling another brand. So they just have to be marked up properly. You just have to make sure you're handling that properly on your pages. If we're trying to optimize around something like a DeWalt or your business, or you're concerned that by putting DeWalt products on your site, it's going to mess up your brand, there's ways to help people understand.
And no one's going to DeWalt to buy DeWalt products. They're usually going to a local store, right? So I don't think it's necessarily something that to be of too concerned, but most people are buying those at a major outlet.
Yeah, and if you are one of those major outlets, making sure that you're listing those. I know JP on one of the episodes you and Keith had done recently, you talked about the like if you have like fir trees, right? The Christmas tree vendor, right? If you sell specific kinds of trees, or if you specifically sell DeWalt tools, you're going to want to mention that in your local, in your GMB. You're going to want to mention that on your website. Hey, we're a DeWalt reseller. We service DeWalt tools. These are the kinds of things that we carry. We see that a lot also in like the HVAC industry, whether you're a Train carrier, Bryant, any of whatever the brand is. If that's something that you specifically service, you're tying. It's kind of like tying the entities together, right? Yeah. DeWalt is a tool. The tool is being sold by Lowe's, Home Depot. That's, big box store. If you want to do like Ace Hardware, someone that's more local, they may sell them as well. We're a local business. This is what differentiates us from the big boys, right? Like,
and it shows directly in the listing. It says like in stock, and that's stuff that you can actually place. Google has a separate tool that you can actually put those directly into your Google business profile with your products, and then you can also list it on your site. And Google's pulling all this information for you. Literally, it will say in stock at this location. So definitely utilize it. Everything that Google's using you.
We got Corey say JP is a low key, probably the best expert on the customer service and how to optimize sentiment in SEO. Nice, agree.
Well, thank you. I don't know. I don't think I agree, but thank you.
The what at your brand? Here's the lemo for you, Limbo. All right, let's jump on the second thing that it's all over the news right now about Stargate project, and looks like Sam Altman just shared the new buildings. I'm not sure if this is for the whole project. What do you guys think? With the AI and quantum computer, this is what's the future? Right now, it's nice, open AI and stuff like that, but there's a lot of changes coming very fast. So
encourage your kids to get into tech because that's where it's going. We're not losing jobs. If anything, we're increasing it. We're going to need like tech people. So.
When you see tech, well, you say tech, like, okay, tech in general, basically, not just
like engineers, IT still definitely, security is always going to be there. It doesn't matter what it is, AI, there's always going to be vulnerabilities. So definitely that's the up and coming. It's going to provide thousands of tech jobs and opportunities.
Okay, so let's niche it down to the SEO industry. What do you think will happen with the SEO, with all the AI? Like, it's obviously making our job a little bit easier and harder at the same time. But
I think those people who don't know how to adapt, the same ones every time there's a Google update, you hear them crying. Those are the people that should look for something else to do. Maybe PPC or go social media and learn their ad platforms if you want to. But for the most part, if you know how to adapt, one, you know how to do the basics because all search engines are search engines. The name, it's in the name, search engine. So whether you're using AI or Google or Bing or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's still a search engine, right? So you have to adapt to different platforms, adapt to what they're doing, and be a problem solver. And most people, sadly to say, I spent 22 years in the Army raising other people's kids, and other people's kids are retarded, and they don't have any common sense and problem-solving skills. So if that's still the case out there in the public, they're going to have a lot of problems. So for people that hopefully they all consider SEO dead and leave some more room at the table for the rest of us that are problem solvers and. Rather than complaining about AI and it's coming, it's going to destroy your life. No, it's going to actually make your life better as long as you adapt to it.
Absolutely.
Well, even when ChatGPT search came out, like day one, where people were like, "How do I get in there?" Like, dude, fucking chill. It literally just came out. Like, we're all trying to figure that out.
It's okay. We have a course set up on that, like 15 minutes after it
just came out like 3 hours ago. None of us fucking have a clue.
Well, to your point, Clint, I think one of the things about SEO and just kind of how AI is going to affect that is I think that mediocrity and if you don't, like you're saying, if you don't understand the fundamentals, if you don't understand the basics, SEO in general is going to become commoditized, and that's where AI is going to look at your page and be like, oh, you don't have any H1s, you don't have any H2, you don't have all of these key elements. That's where AI is just going to, in my opinion, it's going to wipe out a lot of the shit tier and mediocrity from SEO. Now, if you actually know a thing or two and you've spent the time to, as you mentioned, troubleshoot, have that inquisitive kind of mind of I wonder what happens if, or actually testing stuff, those are the guys that they're going to be put a rung above everyone else because you can actually adapt, you can change. It's just, anything that's mediocrity or shit tier, that's going to go by the wayside. AI will handle all of that,
So we'll handle the automation, everything. Totally. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah. It's just you got to see where it fits in your process and see how you could, use it and troubleshoot things that pretty quick and be creative with ideas. I mean, it's the time of ideas right now. If you solve a problem, even though using APIs and AI and, there's still a lot of room in tools and in agents right now. Every business going to need their own agent. So I mean,
And
they don't.
business owners are
Yeah.
are still going to be overwhelmed. Like they don't want to mess with this.
Exactly.
There's always going
Yeah.
to be room for you. Let the plumber do what he does best, and let us do
Absolutely.
what we do best. So
Yeah, I mean, I still meet people. They don't understand what's AI. They think it's just chatting, open chat. You just talk to it and talk to you back. So, and they don't want to learn. They don't want to, they don't want to adopt to it. So there's always room for us as agencies, companies to be able to, jump and find a opportunity to grow, I guess. And even like right now, even the operator, I'm so excited about the OpenAI operator they just released yesterday. It's just fascinating me because I know this is the next step, is basically having a computer. You give it the task and it will control your computer and do everything for you, right? So right now it's still in the early stages. I used Claude one. I can't remember what's the name of it, but I think it's Computer Use, or I forgot the name of their brand, their operator thing. But I use it a lot in coding, even though you could sometimes face issues, and I let the AI control my computer, see the screen, go to the website, look at the code, and let the AI actually solve the problem, right? I'm not a coder by trade, but I've been solving a lot of issues and coding a lot of stuff just by using the AI tools. So, and now operator, it's going to be, based on like what I've seen. I'm trying to see if I could run a workshop on it next week or the week after. In SEO, I mean, having an operator that controlled the browser and could log in, give it prompts to log in with usernames and passwords. What would you do with it? Let me ask you this. What would you do with this?
I mean, we've had that ability for decades now. It just wasn't called AI. There's plenty of those tools out there that automate the browser usage. What is that? iMacros was one of the first ones, right?
Yeah.
How long has that thing been out? So this isn't all that exciting to me. What would be exciting? You said, "Oh, the next step is going to control your computer." Well, that next step is probably a hot minute away. So, but that would be where I would be excited, where I can go, "Hey, run a core report on these 100 keywords," and then go walk away and watch some, Netflix while my computer's doing that. Then that would be awesome.
yeah, if they open source it completely and I can run my proxies through it, then yeah, it's game on. But who knows if that's going to happen?
Yeah. Right now, it's just, right now that's kind of okay. That's cool. Again, those who use computers all the time know that process existed beforehand. The average Joe is probably excited about it, but at the end of the day, yeah,
booking tables. From the video, what I saw, they could book dinners, they could book flights, they could, problem solve something, on the website. So
I'd have a hard time giving a computer my credit card and then not having some response when they put me on the wrong flight for $10,000.
Yeah, definitely need to approve it.
They get every single upgrade you can get.
What could possibly go wrong there?
First class, I'm going from Yuma to fucking Vegas. What the hell is this shit?
Yeah, I'm gonna play with it. I just want to see what else, and then what.
No, for sure. If you're doing repetitive things all the time, like you have to log into all your websites once a day, and just to say you logged into them, then sure, that's a good use for
this tool is for the person who has major ADHD and has to have like 400 tabs open.
Let me hide my tabs then. Okay.
Well, maybe that's why you like it so much.
I don't know. It's exciting. I think this is. I mean, I know there's. I don't have any user case or anything for it, but the ability of prompting an agent. I understand that we have softwares that on Windows and that could automate stuff and control it, but yeah, it's just like it's the beginning. So I know that's going to get, and how things going, it's going to get smarter, I guess.
Well, and
I don't
with
know.
Google Workspace, they're already trying to they're trying to hook into everything you possibly do with Workspace, right?
Hmm.
So while it's not necessarily controlling your computer, I mean, it is controlling other aspects of your life too, right? 100% with like the flights, the bookings, it. I'm not sure how many of you got. I'm assuming most of us are either using Google Workspace in some capacity or we're at least familiar with it. But when they rolled that out, and it's like, sorry, like it's mandatory. You don't get the option whether or not you can turn it off or on in your Google Workspace. We're just going to throw it in there, and Gemini is going to be your assistant. We're going to have it in all up in your business, no matter what you want. Right? To unhook it, it's actually a bigger pain in the ass than like just saying, yeah, fine, whatever. But the amount of data that they're collecting from that, I think that's just a fascinating thing that I've been observing over the last several weeks here. It's just how much they're getting their hooks into everything that you can possibly do.
Well, they want you to get used to using it for free, so that ergo you start paying for it when they say
upgrade.
Right now it's $200.
You need it. And this is part of your life, and you should have it, right? And then, okay, now we're going to charge for it. So that's at the end of the day, that's where I think that's going, because
totally
Google's playing catch up, going, oh shit, we got to build this thing, we got to build this AI. We didn't want to do it really because it's not really our business model, but everyone else is now, so we have to jump on the bandwagon. And how are we going to pay for it? And those guys are 100% awesome of figuring out how to monetize things. And I think AI is just the next thing. So to me, that makes sense for them to throw that in that product and charge you an ass ton of money for something that you need.
All right. Anything else you guys want to add about the operators? And I see, let's read some of the comments right here. We got Marlene, who said I'm trying to break it as we speak. So we all know Marlene is going to try to break it right now. You can't, it's whackety whack for we want to do. Yeah, I mean, definitely the technical stuff, it's not going to be able to do it. Corey said we've been automating full cycle on Windows since 1998 with Autoplay Media Studio. I was on that team. Nice. Sounds great, man. Cecilia, anyone buy that rabbit thing, the R1 from a while back? I'm not sure which one Cecilia talking about.
It's kind of
so many tech toys.
For zero type of little device. It's just kind of like a mini version of that.
Yeah. Did stuff like booking and Uber. Nice. All right. So, are you guys ready for next week?
My presentation's done. I'm not ready for the week, but my presentation's done.
Oh, that's good.
I did a cop out, and I took I want to do AMA. I want people to ask me questions. I perform better that way. So.
Like, how can I fill 45 minutes of my time? Just ask me questions.
Yep.
I've been spending the past week coming up with crazy questions to ask Clint, though. So
I'm
going to make you work. I'm going to make you work that session.
That's good. That's good.
ChatGPT, what are hard questions I can ask?
Yeah, because we were doing the topics and stuff, and I was like, well, I talk mostly about backlinks or SEO, and most of my backlink stuff, I tell people, once you come up with a linking plan, don't tell anyone about it, because then it'll stop working. Just keep your mouth shut and go make some money, right? So, and then I get up there and talk about backlinking. It seems kind of hypocritical. And then there's schema, which is, you'd rather watch paint dry than listen to a presentation about schema, regardless of how important it is. So I was like, I don't know what to talk about. So we got together and we came up with the AMA thing, and I think that works the best.
That's great. Looking forward for it. And let me share. Have you guys been to? I mean, this is my first time on the agency Fast Track event, virtual event. So, can you tell us a little bit? If you guys, I mean, I know that last year you were on it. What do you? I mean, what should they expect, and what's the difference between that and a real one?
Yeah. So when you get into that in real life is when you can walk away to go to the bathroom and no one can stare at you, right? So that's good. But when you sign in, you're essentially into this, like, think of it like a virtual hotel conference room area. And you move around from room to room. So if you want to just hang out with JP and his pals, you go hang out with JP and his pals. And then you're not over talking everyone else because you're in your own room. Presentation-wise, it's just like a conference center. There's a stage, and when the person talks, it kind of takes over, controls that conference room area. So everyone in there is listening to the presentation, seeing the slides and all that. So it's really good. The value, I think, is, let's say, like, I haven't talked to JP or Brian and since SEO at the beach, at least Brian. So I can get a little side room with Brian and hit him up and ask him questions, or he can hit me up and ask me questions. Or we just hang out and drink some beer together because we can see each other in the cameras. That would be, that's one of the values there you get. In regards to comparing it to a real one versus this one, I would always hands down prefer a real one because you just want to see people face to face when you're going to these things, but sometimes you just can't, and this is a good alternative to that. I think it's the closest you can get to actual real personal networking without being there.
Interesting. And it's like a bird eye view from the top of the whole conference, right? Of everything what's happening. I've seen a picture, something like this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's the conference room right there. That's what that looks like. It has seating arrangements. None of that really matters. It's just kind of, I don't want to sit next to JP, so I'll move to the back of the room kind of thing. But we're still in the same room. And then you have those little rooms on the side there where you can lounge out and just have, private conversations or group conversations with your people versus talking to everybody. So
it's the ability to break out, I think, makes this different from other virtual conferences I've done. Like, I've done other things where they were virtual, and like Clint speaking, when he's done, that's it. And there's no way, I have no chance of talking to him. Whereas here, there's a way for me, there was a way for me to grab Clint, like, hey, can I talk to you? And if he wants to avoid me, he can try to avoid me. If he, if I corner him, I can, I can't corner him as easy as you can in real life, I guess. So there's that downside, but
that's what I do at the real conferences. People want to talk to me after my talk, and I'm just like beelining to my room, like, you guys, I need a break. I gotta go.
Yeah. I'll follow Clinton to the bathroom in the real conference. Pound on the stall door. Hey, Clint, I got a question.
This is the wrong show, Charles. You want to jump on the different
But yeah, no, this gives you the ability to you can have little breakouts, you can have little group breakouts, which I've never seen that at a virtual conference before, which I'm looking forward to. I haven't done this before, so I'm looking forward to being able to do that kind of stuff, because I've done the virtual conferences where, again, it's just JP talks or Brian talks, and that's it, and it's all over. And there's no opportunity to chat with them at any other point.
Yeah, most of the people that are doing these are just doing YouTube video recordings and presenting them to people, which isn't necessarily a bad thing as long as you're upfront about doing that, and a lot of them are not. So these speakers are going to actually be there. So as far as I know, I don't think anyone had to send in a recording this time.
Brian, I mean, you've been there before, right? You did that.
Yeah, no. So just to echo what Clint and Charles kind of mentioned here, it is probably the closest thing you can get to a physical conference or an in real life conference without actually being in real life. The proximity thing and having, if you're at the bar, actually being able to hear people at the bar, or you step out into one of the side rooms and it's kind of like a breakout session, right? Personal, so the closer you get to someone in proximity within that, the louder they become actually audibly in your ear. So if you're across the room, you may not pick up the conversation as opposed to if you're sitting right there at the bar. So yeah, it's a really cool experience. Lisa, last year when she did it, she probably like the interactivity was probably one of the closest things that you could get to, like I said, being in an actual event where it's like, okay, everyone needs to stand up, kind of shake it out. Like, all right, now we're going to get into the next presentation. And so it's a really cool experience, you know, and
Hmm.
the ability to attend from anywhere really does lend itself quite nicely to the people that can't, you know, maybe break away due to either travel, family, anything like that. This is a really nice way to kind of kick off the new year with take some actionable insights, take some actionable tactics, and implement them this year to improve your business. And I know all of the speakers that she had put on this particular lineup, everyone has to bring something to the table that is actionable, that someone can take some kind of nugget away from and actually implement it in your business. So, yeah.
And what's your topic about, Brian? Let's take a peek right here.
So mine's on applying the 80-20 principle. A lot of us have, and I'm guilty of it too, where uh, we've spent so much money on tools, but half the stuff sits on, you know, collecting dust on your digital, you know, shelf, right? It's applying the 80-20 technique to really determine what are the tools that you absolutely need. It's probably going to dovetail into kind of what JP's talking about quite a bit. I've done a lot of stuff with Google Sheets integrations with different AI, a lot of different things where it's like I'm building a lot of my own tools now. And I know JP will be talking about, you know, leveraging AI to kind of help build out your tool set. We've gone from scaling our out the door cost for subscriptions. I've cut it probably by 70-80%. And I'm still looking at places where we can trim that up a little bit more. Do we really need to have all the bells and whistles, or is it something that it's nice to have, but is it really functional for the business? Do we actually need it to make money? And there's a few different things. I know we've talked about this a little earlier in this presentation, but if you look at Google's SERP, there's a lot of stuff you can actually take from that, and you don't need fancy tools. Like Google gives you all the clues right there on the SERP page if you know what you're looking for.
Looking forward for it. That's nice. Is there so that would be that's like like an hour, right? It's like an hour, 45 minutes. Okay.
45 minutes and then Q&A, correct.
That's great. That's great. All right. And how about you, Jordan? What are you going to talk about?
So most of mine is just really just using different AI to build your own tools, scripts, automation. Probably within the last year, I've probably made well over 75 different just small little scripts. Sometimes there's just quite a few things that sometimes I just kind of want a basic bird's eye view without having to actually go subscribe to something or just go manually check. So it's like I built this quick Python script to go out and grab the first 60 results, give me their H1s, H2s, meta descriptions, word count, things like that. And then I just built a couple when we're talking about branding. I built a little brand mention tool that just goes out and grabs every single site URL that's mentioning your brand. So it's really just being able to, you know, use what you need for your own agency or business, and just being able to utilize AI, particularly Python, to really go out and make anything that you really want. It could even just be a single task. It can be a multiple of tasks. So it's really, and you don't have to have any experience. I mean, you literally, I'm going to give you some prompts, things to actually feed into these AIs. Just say, hey, you know, you just tell exactly what you want. If there's a problem with it, it'll kind of give you some feedback of what you need to change, redo the entire script for you. So it's a lot of that you just don't really need to do, but it's knowing how to prompt correctly and how to actually feed it, you know, what exactly that you're trying to do.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes back to AI and what you can do with it. Like I've always wanted to know how to code, but I don't know how to program. But with AI, I don't need to. I can ask AI how to do this. I've built so many little tools for myself using, and now I always use HTML and JavaScript because I don't know anything about Python. So JP, I'm gonna be taking lots of notes during your presentation. Like, okay, how do I use Python? But I've made so many little tools for myself that in the past, what would I've had to do? I've had to go to someplace like an Upwork, hire someone for, $100 or $200 maybe to write something, gone back and forth. It would have taken a week or two. And then by the time it was all done, I use it once or twice and that's it. Whereas now I can go to AI. I can have it create something for me. I mess with it maybe 5-10 minutes. I really haven't spent much time. Really don't have to spend much time. And now I have a cool little tool that I can use. And that's really the power. It goes back to what we were talking about with it earlier with AI. It's like, now I can leverage myself. Now I can do stuff that I couldn't do before, that I would have had to hire somebody else. And I think that's going to be the big changes in SEO for AI. If, like Clint was talking about, if you're just doing titles and metas, like if your SEO job is redoing people's titles and metas manually, you're going to be out of a job real fast. If your job is, how do I find problems, not just solve problems, but how do I find the problem? How do I find the problem and then solve the problem? The world's going to be your oyster. And all these cool tools like JP is just talking about, those are going to be instrumental, because you're going to be able to say, all right, check this for me now, check this for me now, write a script to check that for me, and
because a lot of it too, I'm not going to go, I don't want to spend $500 for a tool where I literally just need like 2 features. Like if I can just build a tool that literally just does that, and like if I'm doing just checking stuff every day, if I can just use one tool to do kind of 1 or 2 things, like that's the best, rather than trying to go on like, well, now this tool's down. It's it's like you own it. You don't have to worry about anything else. So.
Nice.
100%.
And I think the uptime, that's another big point right there, JP, is when you're creating your own tools, if it screws up, you can go back into the AI, you can go back in, prompt to be like, hey, this is the error I was getting, what's going on. Whereas if you're at the mercy of a SaaS that you're paying for a monthly subscription, one of those the APIs or whatever goes down, and you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs going like, what the hell do I do now? Right. Your business at that point, if you're leveraging that and relying on it, your business comes to a standstill.
True. And you could customize it the way you want, and the way, the features.
Always have a backup plan, right?
Yeah, always. I mean, yeah. So JP, for for the people who's listening to us right now, who's going to be in the virtual event, what tools they need to get familiar with before they come and listen to your speak, basically.
You definitely want chat. So I'm basically going over kind of 3 major like tools, AI. The main one is ChatGPT. I will talk into a little bit of Gemini and also Google Colab, which actually has their own little prompts to host for free your own Python scripts. But definitely ChatGPT, that's probably the main one that I use. And if I have enough time, I may show a couple of like other kind of more advanced like web application AI tools to kind of build like a general larger application.
Interesting. Looking forward for it. All right. And Charles, let's pull your page up. I know you spoke a little bit in the beginning, so what you gonna talk about, and what do you think the attendees will learn from your speak?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about migrations and really how to do a migration without it destroying your SEO. There's lots of little things I'm going to be talking about. One of the things is, often folks will hear something specific like, oh, migrations. They're like, oh, I'm not doing a migration. I don't have to worry about that. I have a client, or actually an ex-client, who they did a migration, didn't realize it. They had a developer changed their theme or changed something with their navigation, and essentially migrated them from a dub to a non-dub version of the site. They migrated. They didn't realize they did a migration. And so the question is, when you have things like that happen, when you have unexpected migrations, how do you recover? First of all, what do you do to make sure it doesn't kill you? And then can you recover from it? And how do you recover from these kinds of things? Because you can recover. It's not, there was a great article. We talked about it in SEO Fight Club a couple weeks ago. I forget who did. I think Ahrefs, but I could be wrong. They talked about how long it takes for the average migration site to recover from migration. I think it was like on average 500 and some odd days. That's like a year and a half. That is ridiculous. You can't go without traffic for a year and a half and think, oh, okay, I'll just I'll be fine. You should at most be down for 2 to 3 months. The rule of thumb I always give is tell clients 10 to 25% over 2 to 3 months or 3 to 4 months. Really, it shouldn't even be that long if you prepare properly and if you go through all the steps.
Interesting. Looking forward for it, man. Clint, so what, I know it's going to be an AMA, like, ask me anything session, right? That's what it's going to be, right?
Yeah.
And what advice would you give the attendees and the speakers before the event, like these kind of virtual events? What kind of advice you would give them?
Look at you were bringing up, the speaker bios and what they're going to talk about subjects. Bring your question. Think of your questions before you get there, as they relate to your specific problem, and that's how you get the most out of it. So if you got a website that's short on backlinks, figure out who the speakers are. They're going to talk about backlinks, and then go and write your questions down that you want to ask them. If you schema question, figure out who talks about schema. AI, figure out what questions you want to ask Jordan and Brian, because honestly, it's a lot of times people think people go to speak and we make all kinds of money doing that. Most of the time we don't make anything, and we're actually losing money to go talk to you, right? So appreciate that time and that effort, and do your part and have questions ready. Don't come in with something half-assed, because one, neither of us will get anything out of it, and two, you'll still have that same problem you started with in the first place. So
True. How about for advice for the speakers?
I don't I'm not a very good, most people know that when I get up public speaking, I'm not very good at it, so I go really, really fast. They give me 45 minutes of time and I'm done in 20 minutes kind of thing. Just relax and practice your presentation a couple times if you want to.
Nice.
Are you doing a recap, Clint?
No.
Oh, I'm bummed on that one, man.
I normally would, but my wife has her appointments, and
Yeah.
so I miss speakers, and then I feel kind of crappy because I don't get to cover everybody. So
yeah. And I'm going to be talking about some proximity signals boosting for people also ask questions, how I use it for local. And I'm going to share a few things that I do with sitemap and sitemap XML files, basically putting the KML files in it to be able to force Google to search it or to crawl it, basically. So I'm looking forward to show like the exact tips or like tasks that I do for in making like a bigger proximity ranking for local SEO. Yes, I use my tools for most of it. That's the main reason I created my tools, is to save on the workspace, the workflow that I have. And, instead of hiring an expert, assistant or anybody to join the team, I wanted just hire a regular Joe who could know how to fill out the form and click next and be able to get the results that I'm looking for. Like similar to what JP was talking about, building the tools to automate your process and make sure that you deliver deliver the task but without spending a lot of time, because I saving time is money, and I actually value both of them. So that's why I built my tools. And and I'm going to show them how to use it without the tools or with it. So basically it's just a strategy.
Well, and if anyone's not using your PAA Chrome extension, I would recommend go get that, download it today. That thing has been awesome.
Thank
to
you,
work
man.
with.
Thank you. I built it in a way that I want to have a free product for Blockstorm to be able to scrape all the questions in the tree format to show the parent and the child questions. So the tool will click on each one, and then you could download it CSV file or use it in your favorite AI tool, or just click a button and push it to the to your tool and write all the articles and push it to WordPress in a few minutes. So I'm excited to show that as well.
Yeah, Mike's been teaching that using PAAs in his mastermind, and I've been using that extension for just that. And I was like, this is awesome. So,
oh, you guys used it, the same extension?
Yeah, I love that thing.
Oh, nice. Thank you, man. So how much is the price? If anybody of you guys still on the fence, come hang out with us next week. It's going to be like 4 days from the 27th to the 30th, about 4 days. And the prices are, for the VIP is $14.97. And that's going to include a full day on the 27th, basically, for the VIP networking, ice breaking, hanging out with a lot of great, minds and brilliant guys. I'm looking forward to sit and talk to them and bounce ideas. The standard one is $9.97. But I have a coupon on the bottom right here. If you go to agencyfasttrack2025.com/Rob, and I have the coupon for the standard. It's going to take $400 off. And for the VIP, it's going to take $500 off. So this is plus I'm actually going to give some surprise deals inside the my speak. Basically, at the end of my speak, I'm going to share some great deals as well. So only exclusively for this event. And so if you guys still on the fence, please jump on and get your tickets today. And do you guys want to add anything about the event?
I would just add a little bit of perspective to that price. You're given a coupon that'll take that $14.97 down to $1,000, and that's all you spend. If you're going to a regular conference, you got $200 to $1,000 for the flight, and probably $2,000 for the hotel room, and then all your food and all that other stuff. So ultimately, when you go to a conference live and you're paying those same numbers, you're probably spending like $5,000 to $6,000 to go to a real live conference. So I think the coupon is awesome. So I would
agree.
Definitely jump on that, and that's a good write-off for your taxes too. So
yeah, and plus if someone want to bring their spouse or family, they're gonna end up spending $10,000 just for that event.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of saving here. Yeah,
or you can just stream this to your big ass TV in your living room and have all your friends over. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying
SEO watch party.
So we're all going to Clint's house to watch it.
Yeah, that would be the virtual mastermind. That's
the only thing I would add is that last year when Lisa put this together, and really at any of the events that I've been a part of, if you can take away one or two things that you can actually implement, it's worth the cost of admission, right? The idea is that you're going to a lot of these things to enhance your business, to take away things that are actually actionable. And again, Lisa's done a really good job of covering a lot of the bases, be it agency growth, scaling, getting your shit in order and together, SEO, actually like boots on the ground type stuff. So there's a lot of things that you can take away from this event. And literally, like I've always said this, that the magic is at the bar, right? And that's one of those things that even at this event, Lisa's done a really good job in the after hours or kind of like after session kind of stuff. You can go and find any of the speakers, talk with them, ask them the questions that you have, and build out your network, right? It's awesome that, I've got JP, I've got Charles, I've got Clint, I've got Robbie in my contact list, where if I have a question, I'm like, hey, Clint, I'm running into this issue. You ever seen something like this before? And just being able to have that kind of connection where at these events, like I'm expanding my personal network and the people that I can reach out to if I have problems, right?
That's, I mean, Yeah, hopefully that we're gonna have some virtual drinks as well, so we'll be able to sit at the bar and
We'll be hanging out,
spill that beans,
right?
I'd give everybody
Yeah.
a tip whenever you're if ever you're going to speak to a speaker and ask them questions. You want to make sure that you're respectful of their time. Don't just,
Mhm.
I wouldn't go to Clint and say, "Hey, Clint, what's the best way to link to a website?" Like that's way too broad. That's that's just way too much. I'd rather go to Clint and say, "Hey, Clint, you mentioned this on one of your webinars or during your presentation, and I tried that, but this is what happened." Like that's a really good question because now Clint knows exactly what you're having problems with, and he can clarify and say, "Oh, you did it wrong because you have to do this, this, or this," or "I've never had a problem doing this. Let's take a look at it." And I've spoken with a lot of people where if you give them that specific, like, "Hey, you did a presentation last year or last month or yesterday. I tried that, and this is what happened. Am I doing something wrong?" That folks will be happy to give you a lot of time. Say, "Hey, this is what," and walk you through all the process. I know I've done that. I know folks here on this call have done that for me, so I'd recommend that. Don't go with a general question. Hey, Brian, tell me all about Google Sheets. Are they good to use?
How
Do
do
they
I
work?
rank?
Yeah.
I
Don't
got my
ask
first
questions like that.
SEO
Yeah.
client.
Great.
What's my
Great.
next step?
You just took away all my questions I was going to ask you.
So that would just be my one recommendation when asking
Yeah.
questions, that you're going to get a lot better answers the more specific and the more exact your question.
You might as well
Thank you.
ask AI if you're going to ask those questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, make it more specific.
And I think it's cool too that it's really it's all walks of life. I mean, you'll get people like business owners, you'll get agency owners, SEOs, solopreneurs, all walks of life. You never know what type of opportunity can show up by just networking. I've built a lot of great, partnerships, opportunities just by networking alone.
Interesting. Yeah, I went to only a couple of them, and yeah, and before I didn't see the value of it, but now I do. So it's for me, it was so exciting because I don't know anyone around me that speak SEO or digital marketing. So I was like so excited to bounce ideas.
You're like, wait, there's
Brian
other
and-
people out there that know this stuff too?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was. I was like, wow. So at least my wife referred to me. Oh, he does CEO. I'm like, oh my God, it's SEO. It's not CEO. And in Chicago, like a few months ago, me and Brian, after the event, we went. It was Dark AI, and we went to a hookah bar, and we just smoking hookah and bouncing ideas. Me, him, and Patrick. It was a great time. I loved it.
Well, and out of that, you came up with Rule Your Day. So
Yes.
you took the physical paper. If you guys haven't checked that out, that's another one that I would definitely recommend.
Oh, so Kato is the one who came up with it. Okay.
Kato was he saw it in there's something I passed out on
It's like a little notepads.
Notepad in the event of and legit. Kato gave me the idea of building the big ass calendar. This is a great idea. I loved it. I'm like, you tell me I'm gonna do that. I'm like, definitely I'm gonna add it to Roll Your Day. And he definitely gave me it was a piece of paper, notepad. I wanted just to pass it out. And he's like, he loved it. He gave me a lot of motivation to be able to build it as a tool. So thank you, Brian.
Yeah, no, thank you for building it. And if people haven't checked that out, it's ruleyour.day, right?
Yes, ruleyour.day. Yeah, I'll put it on the screen.
And so it's just a simplified notepad. It's got a Pomodoro timer. There's some really cool things in there. JP had the idea to roll things over from one day to the next. There's different, export features. There's a lot of really cool stuff. You can customize it. But at the end of the day, it's kind of a fancy notepad, right? And what I like with it is there's some logic built into there. So your top priority, I think you have it built in where you can't have more than 3.
Yes.
So let's not do it as a dumping ground, but here's the top 3 things that you need to get done today. So it's been a really nice way for me to simplify like any of the daily tasks that I've got going on. And then there's a lot of really cool features in it. But yeah, this is something that I've been playing around with quite a bit. It's a fantastic tool.
Thank you, Brian. It's just like the reason I built it. I was overwhelmed every time, like every week or 2 weeks. I'm overwhelmed with all the tasks and projects I'm running, and I'm like, I gotta find a solution for my ADHD, and so I could finish the tasks. I'm like,
Yeah.
did some research, and I start doing the top priority, only focusing on 3 top tasks that I need to finish per day. Yeah, I could have secondary tasks, a lot of them, but I wake up in the morning, I just want to finish the top priority 3, and that's how I start being more productive. So anyways, so let's it's already an hour and 12 minutes. That's we've been live for that long. It feels like a minute hanging with you guys. First of all, I respect your time and spending the time. I know your time is value, and sharing ideas and talking about SEO, and looking forward for a next week event. And just a final talk. So I'm going to share this screen right here, and then we could end this, whatever you guys would like to add. Here we go. So I'm going to share. Here we go. So we have the coupons. Looking forward to meet you guys next week, whoever is listening. And if you guys have a final note, do you want to add before we end this?
Oh, hope to see everyone next week. It'll be really cool. Hoping to hang out.
Nice. Thank you, everybody who is here watching us. I respect the time that you took out of your day and joining us, and we'll see you hopefully in the next one. And if you're still on the fence, jump on Agency Fast Track and buy your tickets today, so we could virtually meet again. All right, guys, have a good day. Thank you all.
Take care.